Welcome back, race fans, to round 4 of the Sim Racers Room GT3 Championship. The practice session is now over and we are heading into the qualifying session. Drivers now going out. Today the battle heads to the northern Spain and the Circuito De Navarra 3.93 kilometer gem. That's as technical as it is unforgiving. We've had races here in the past, especially last year at the FIA Motorsports Games. This was the track of choice for the iracing portion, with its high mix of many high-speed sweepers, tricky hairpins, and a long back straight, perfect for drafting battles. Navarra is a circuit that rewards precision, punishes mistakes, and guarantees some drama here. Last week we heard the drivers saying that they've never done, some of them saying they've never done it in or tested this track on in a GT3 car, so this is going to be interesting. We have a new recruit here in Gergo Danko in that Ferrari, and he has been looking rapid all practice session. Daniel Roberts had a remarkable pace last week at Sebring until he found himself into the wall coming out of the sunset corner. Julian Narcisse as well back in action at Inaugural as well. We have Kurt Moss and Tasha Edwards is back as well. Still no Jaden Harrison, unfortunately, but you will see him before the conclusion of the series. First lap is out with a 139.596 done by the Italian in that Ferrari. So as the times continue on, we'll just ride along board to watch what's happening. Drivers still trying to figure out the track. The practice session was fruitful. We saw drivers as far as in the 50s. So a lot of them just learning the track as they go along. So we wait to see what can happen. Take a look at the Jamaican here. Tash Edwards does see purple on his timing sheet. 140.9, 139.801 is his time. But Gergo as well is looking like he's going to be improving very well, as his sector 2 purple, sector 3 is looking good as well. Where will this time put him? Ati as well should be passing on in a few moments, and a 139.021. Declan Daniel there, Hermit Daniel Roberts there with a 139.155. Declan Daniel, one of the more rapid drivers, as well as Peter Arundel, will not be showing their face this afternoon, unfortunately. Peter saying he has a bad headache, so we're wishing him the best and speediest of recoveries. Last week we had a Trinidad podium lockout, so we are going to be missing him. Declan Daniel said from last week as well that he would not be able to participate because of his own real life commitment. So huge shout out to them. They've made it for every round that they could. They put on a show every round that they could. Look forward to their return next week as we head right back to America for Laguna Seca for week and round 5. Spa is up after that. That will be the finale to this series. But what an absolutely epic battle this has been, as Tash Edwards crosses the line in P1. 500th of a second ahead of Gergo. Daniel Roberts as well, another driver we saw last week, was rapid. He is improving in that Ferrari. So right now we have one BMW, 2 Ferraris on that podium. Dan Robb was rapid last week. not improve. So he and Virgo are still sitting P2 and P3. Julian puts it up in P5, quickly dismantled by Ati there. The South African made his name known quickly. Guillermo Silva as well, he put on quite a show last week, so we look forward to seeing what he can do. Tasha Edwards though, again, purple sectors, but that first implement of that sector did not look remarkably quick. And as you said, Guillermo Silva does come back to take back his position, P4, right outside the podium spots with a 39.599. Taj Edwards though is looking rapid. He's going to improve by quite a margin as well. I'm going to say this is about a 138.7. And a 138.699. Close enough for the commentator. Rapid lap there. And he right now is on provisional pole. We have about 6 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. Drivers still putting their all out there on the track. Daniel Roberts, the Canadian. Zach Taj Edwards right behind him. I believe it was. No, it wasn't. That was Julian. My apologies. As Daniel comes across the line, still has some work to do. Sits in P3. Last week looked rapid, looked like he could have taken a win, but unfortunately lost out in the last few moments. The Trinidadians just pulled their strategy and it worked like a dream. So as we look forward to the next hour of racing, Jaden Harrison again missing in action. Would have loved for him to be here. Nonetheless, the battle is on. Kurt Moss there in P5 as well. There, you see Daniel just put me out of the way quickly. Nigel, that's him in the background. You see there in the McLaren. Virgo Danko though, let's just take a look at him because he is looking rapid. Improves in Sector 1, looking very well in Sector 2. He comes across the line. Where will this lap put him? And he does improve a 38.445 for the Italian. He comes out on top. With 4.5 minutes remaining, Tash Edwards now 2/10 down. He has some work to do as well, so now it's going to be a shootout between the top three because Daniel Roberts as well is not looking to give up just yet. Not improving on his lap so far, but has enough time to put in another lap or two. Taj Edwards there pushing, but again, not enough at the moment. Kurt Moss there, 39.416. He's only 700 down on the car in front of him. In that BMW, he is pushing. And the field looks so close. Everybody separated by a few mere tenths. And that there we show as a gap to the leader. 2 tenths, 7 tenths, 8 tenths, 9 tenths. Who will be victorious here in these next stages? Not sure why we lost the live HUD there. Just give me a second to try and figure that out. What happened there? Okay, apologies there, ladies and gentlemen. We do have the live timing back, so I'll get it on the stream for you now. Not sure what happened there, just lost it for a second, but that being said, should be getting back on stream in a moment's time. Just give it a minute. But right now, Gergodanko does still continue on provisional pole. Daniel Roberts, my apologies, is improving. 39.351 for him. We should get the overlays back in a second. Not sure why it's taking so long. Just give us a moment's time, we ask. But this is the ending of qualifying. And Daniel Roberts is improving here. So we'll ride along board with him because he improves green sector 1, purple in sector 2, not fully though, because he lost about 2/10 there. Will it be enough to at least take back the podium spot? Because right now he sits in P4. Comes across the line now. That would have been his fastest lap of the race. 138.474. So 300th down on the pole sitter in Gergodanko. That is a lap there. Messed up just that slight bit. Tasha Edwards not improving. So that looks like qualifying over. He comes across the line. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the ending of this qualifying session. I'm going to try and figure out what's going on. So in the meantime, please, a word from the intro of Sim Racer's Room. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. The grid is, well, grid is gridding up, to say the least. We do have back the overlays. Not sure what had happened there, but we got it back right in time, thankfully. We will just go over the results from the qualifying session, especially since we just lost out. So, Gergo Danko sits on pole position, 138.445, 200s up to the Canadian in Daniel Roberts. Taj Edwards sits in P3, 2/10 down. Guillermo Silva as well, the South African in that Audi, did very well last week and finds himself right there outside the podium spots, only 6/10 down. Don't count him out. Kurt Master sits in P5. Ati Nigel, the South African, sits in P6. Julian Narcisse in P7. Mornay Deploy in P8. Guyan Gaizo in P9. The grid is lining up, and we are ready to go racing in a moment's time. And we are on the formation lap here, ladies and gentlemen. So prepare to go racing. Drivers are ready to go. They're raring. Not sure why we're having so much issues this week with the overlays, but that being said, looks like we're on the way and ready to go. Gergo Danko, his debut here at the Sim Racers room in the GT3 Championship, followed closely by Daniel Roberts, the two separated by 200th of a second. Taj Edwards, the Jamaican, sits in P3 right there, waiting for any moment to pounce. Guillermo Silva as well, the South African. Did quite a job last week. Jamaican in Kurt Moss has had quite unfortunate showing in the past few races. Just always find himself in prime position, and then the pit stops always seem to just catch him out. Ati Nigel in P6. Julian Narcisse, we have two Cayman Island drivers in P7 and P8. And guys are to round out the field in P9. There was slight drop in attendance here. Had about 14-15 drivers last week, but again, a few of them did say that they couldn't make it, unfortunately. So we prepare to go racing now, ladies and gentlemen. Put your bets out. We definitely have a fight for the top three there. Safety car pulling away into the pits, and the drivers will be going double file now. Gergo Danko, Daniel Rob, Dan Rob we call him. Taj Edwards and Guillermo Silva there in the second row. As they come around that final corner, it's about to go green light racing, ladies and gentlemen. Put your bets up. Ati Nigel there needs to catch up. And the field bunch up a little bit more. With that being said, as they come down the pit straight, you have red lights, and it's green light racing for the drivers. They are off and going. Dan Robb, huge jump there on Gergo to take the lead at the start, and that puts him in P1. It looks like there might have been an incident. Yes, Kurt Moss had crashed, and he drops down 4 positions. And we said it before, it's like he dropped in a river of salt. And it's just been drama after drama for him. Gergo Danko following now the Canadian in Daniel Roberts. Tash Edwards not too far behind. Julian Narcisse has made up 3 positions. Guillermo Silva drops down 1, and Mornay Deploy moves up 2. We will watch this battle here for the top 3 for the moment. Kurt Moss and Guyan Gaizo, the 2 in the pits already. Looks like they crashed again, both jumping to the pits. Will that be the 2 first DNFs for this session? So right now, 2 Ferraris and a BMW lead the top 3. 2 Ferraris, 2 BMWs lead the top 4. So this is going to be an interesting run here this afternoon. Gergo in his debut here, a brilliant start in his qualifying. Now follows the likes of Mr. Daniel Roberts. Dan Rob, we call him for short. 1:46.631 is the fastest lap so far. Race just underway. In the past few races, we've seen drivers doing some forms of strategy. So even if they sit further back, we saw a brilliant drive last week from the likes of Mr. Peter Arundel. But right now, the 2 Ferraris are at it. Gergo saw an opportunity. Now pushes Dan Robb outside, takes the inside line to move up a position. Ferrari on Ferrari violence. Tash Edwards just watching in the past. Dan Robb hasn't given up as yet though. Looks on the outside, nowhere to go. Tries to look now down the rear end on the gearbox of that silver Ferrari. And now Dan Robb tries to go on the inside. Will he squeeze him out? Yes, it looks good. He moves up a position. Now it's a drag race down to the start finish. Going down that pit straight. What a battle this is. And guess who gets to watch it bright and early? Mr. Tash Edwards, now 4/10 off. Just watching as the battle continues. Gergo Danko not comfortable so far, and these two will continue their fights onwards for this position. Guillermo Silva as well is on the rear end of Mr. Narcisse. And it looks as if he's made that move. We will look back in a moment's time, but right now we just focus on the top 3 runners right now. We have replays to go. I want to see what had happened with Kurt and Guyan at the start of that race. What had happened to Mr. Massive, the Jamaican? Guyan has come back out on track. Kurt Moss has retired, it seems. Still on the track, however, but maybe too far to even join back at this point. So right now, Gergo Danko follows the Canadian in Dan Robb, and we'll watch this battle on because, I mean, it is a long race. We've only gone through about 5 minutes in the race. This is lap 3 as well. Just sitting there in the slipstream is Mr. Danko. We want to take a quick look at Atidair from Team Jesus, who is lining up Mornay Deploy and sees an opportunity. 8 down is the South African. We continue to watch that, but right now we just want to watch and follow with the 2 Ferraris at the front. As they are pushing. This This is going to be a brilliant battle there. Very good now, looking as if he's pushing that Ferrari through and through the corners. Maintaining that gap of 2/10. Not rushing, no need to rush, it's a long race. But still, if he sees that moment, he is going to take it as they come through. Turns 2, head down now by the hairpin by 3. And Geyser has crashed again. We'll take a look in a moment's time at all of these highlights as we go along. Atinagel now makes a move on Mornay deploy. There, just sitting in the slipstream. He did lose out there for a second. Let's just take a quick look. What had happened at the start for Mr. Massive at the beginning of this race? So it was lights out. Kurt Moss, ooh, looks as if he just got, ooh, and that was a huge incident. Didn't even see it on the stream. And that is disappointing for Kurt. As if there, it seemed as if somebody had hit him, almost a pit maneuver, and there goes Gergo. It looked like he was taking a dive. He is on the inside now, right on the rear axle. And he and Dan Robb are fighting it out here. Tash Edwards getting the best view. You're seeing the marbles being chipped up. As the two continue their battle on, he looked like he saw an opportunity. Maybe even try and freak out the driver in front of him. Calm, cool, and collected is Mr. Dan Robb. From where he started to where he is now, trust me, his growth has been impeccable. Huge shout out to him. Our good friend over at the JSRA, the Jamaica Simulation Racing Association. But he has looked so good. It was the same showing he had last week. Tash Edwards just there watching in the background. Missed last week. So first time seeing Dan Robb in action. But there goes Gergo again. Takes a look on the inside but nowhere to go. That does now put him under threat by Mr. Edwards. Guillermo Silva not too far either. 3 seconds and closing lap after lap. The battle between these three is bringing him back into contention. So can he even pull somewhat of a pit strategy to try and come closer to the drivers behind in front? We've seen it so many times in the past. We will look to see what can happen, but Gergo right now looking again and again. But Daniel Roberts just putting that car exactly where he needs to put it. question is, will this fight use up tires that were supposed to be saved? Will it use up fuel as well? Because right now, guess who gets to do the most fuel saving? That is Taj Edwards. Doesn't need to push too hard right now as this battle continues. Ati Nagel is looking as if he can try and make a move on the Cayman driver in Julian Narcisse. Has a look now. He is on the outside, but that outside will become the inside. But that BMW just parks where it needed to park. Nowhere to go. Now under threat by the Honda NSX as well. Will this lend to an opportunity for Mornay deploy? As that trio continues on, that battle will go on for now. So we'll continue to watch that gap, because right now that gap between the top two, top three is still, you're looking and you see it drop. As we know ahead, we are about to complete the first quarter of the race. The top three still stand where they are. Will pit strategy be the winner of this race? You see Taj Edwards there just watching, not necessarily trying to get involved, but use them as much as possible. Let's actually try and take a listen to his car as he follows on board with them. We will hear a little bit of Lyco. You see him using the draft as best as possible to try and save as much fuel as possible as well. Doesn't want to fall back too far. But no sense getting into that battle. 138.906, 500th quicker on that last lap by Gergo. Edwards there, just sitting and waiting on his moment. Rapid driver. We've seen him pull strategy after strategy. Guillermo Silva is maintaining that gap by about 3.6 seconds. The battle behind for P5 is still on as well. As you say, Ati there takes a look. Just to remind Julian, yes, I am here. Waiting for his moment, but right now sat in somewhat of a slipstream battle. Mornay cannot get past Ati as well. Just looking for his moment, doesn't want to force his way through, but might have to. But yo, Gergo Danko has been overtaken by the Jamaican in Tasha Edwards. And we'll take a look what had happened there. But right now the two are fighting. Will this give Dan Robb some leeway to get away? Tasha Edwards takes back that position. The two are now fighting it out, and this is a battle for P2. And Gergo Danko does make it back in front. We'll take a look what had happened there. That was such an interesting battle, but that has given a gap now to Dan Robb, 1.6 seconds. I'm sure time that he would not have wanted to lose out to, but Dan Robb will take it. 2 seconds now, the gap between the two, and Tasha Edwards still lining up a move on the Ferrari in front of him. This is giving Dan Robb the perfect opportunity to get away. So here we see it. Just saw Gergo just go wide. Almost allowed Tash to just pass him. There you see it. Ooh, he actually hit into the back of Dan Robb, which overslowed the car, allowing for Taj Edwards to make the move on him. So maybe there's damage as well now to look up to. And then there's this battle now that comes up here. The fight for P2 between Taj and Gergo. They went side by side heading into turns 2. Still battle on the braking. Switcheroo there for Gergo. But Taj could hold him off for the moment. The two still side by side. Taj backs out and says, alright, I'll continue to use you. We heard him say it last week. That draft helped him in the long run. To help him out with the strategy to go to the end. So is this his strategy? That 2 second gap has dropped down now to 1.4, 1.3, 1.2 seconds. And there goes Gergo again off the track. Is he feeling the effects? He can see the front splitter damaged. And that 1.2 second gap has now dropped down back to 2 seconds, or increased back to 2 seconds. Taj Edwards right there on the back end of that Ferrari. They do have one quick repair as well. We'll continue to watch that, but while we watch that now, Ati and Mornay deploy still chasing down the likes of the Cayman driver. There you see him there, looks on the inside. Can he get the run now? We'll have to try and get back onto the inside line. Goes for the move. Ati there moves up a position. And Mornay deploying not too far behind either. One wrong move for Julian. Puts him out of the ideal line. 2 positions lost in 1 corner. And I'm sorry, but while we're watching this, the gap has dwindled back to a second. And at the moment, the only car who doesn't have damage amongst the top 3, who has been saving his tires, who has been saving fuel, is Mr. Edwards. So right now, put your votes in, ladies and gentlemen, because he is looking like he's in prime position. As he just sits there in the slipstream of the 2 Ferraris. That BMW looking absolutely brilliant here this afternoon. But still, fastest lap of the session so far, 138.847. 2/10 clear of Taj Edwards behind. So still has found his pace and is right back there on the back end of that Ferrari in Daniel Roberts. Four tenths is the gap between them. And that Ferrari looks absolutely menacing in the background. Was Daniel doing some form of fuel saving as well? Only time will tell. Hopefully we can get him in the interview room here at the end of this race. Fight for the top step is now on again, ladies and gentlemen. 2/10 is the gap between P1 and P2. Ooh, ladies and gentlemen, now seeing Atty has crashed. Not sure what had happened there. We'll take a quick look now. He was in P5 there. That curb unsettled the McLaren. Ooh, luckily no hits between himself and Mornay or the likes of Julian there. But now we have the first pits as Gergo heads into the pits. And this will be the strategy. Will the undercut work? Because right now Daniel Roberts leads by 1.7 seconds to the Jamaican. Jerem Silva 4.5 seconds behind in that Audi. Kinda in no man's land at the moment, just enjoying himself. But Gergo now heads out as Daniel and Taj finish up about sector 1, heading into, well, about to finish sector 2 as they go through that straight away now. And then sector 3 is a little tricky section. Will they head into the pits now? Gergo sitting 29 seconds behind and his pace is rapid. Will this be the undercut to put him on the top step and put him right back where he started? Daniel Roberts now pushing. Will we see him enter the pits? No, we will not. He continues on with Taj Edwards. Maybe go along. Maybe they fuel for a longer stint. We've gone the halfway mark so far. We've seen them leave it until the last 20 minutes. So, especially with Taj there. 4/10 quicker than Dan Rob. Has been keeping in some tires and some fuel. So this is where it's going to be brilliant. He's going to be the one that we're going to be watching for as he enters into the pits and exits. But right now, he has full blast to go, pushing with 1.7 seconds behind in the last lap. Now 1.5, 1.4. Taj Edwards on the ideal strategy, has no damage, has no less tire degradation and less fuel usage, so he will top up less, go longer. As he won it out starting in P3, allowing the two in front of him to fight. Time will tell. But you know, once you get him in front, it's very hard to get in front of him. So we'll see. All will unfold in the next few laps. We've elapsed 31 minutes so far. Headed into the pits now is Daniel Roberts. And Taj Edwards continues on. Will his strategy work out for him in the long run? We will see. Jerem Silva as well heads into the pits. Gergo Danko is a driver we'll be watching to see. Will his undercut work for him as he enters now into the final sector? Passes the pit entry line. Dan Robb sits there waiting. Derko now does enter into the final corner. Daniel Roberts is exiting the pits. This looks quite promising for him. You can see the Ferrari in the background, but does not look like he will gain that advantage. Loses out to Dan Robb there. And the strategy not working in his favor at the moment. 3 seconds is the gap between the two. We'll watch to see how quick is Dan Robb closing in on Taj Edwards, because he should have quite a bit of tire life left in those tires, just following on board the two leaders. The Jamaican flag waving no right now at this very moment. And Taj Edwards looks very promising. We know Gergo though will run and rush to get to the front. Taj Edwards with a purple sector 3. So again, he has all green light to unleash what left of pace he has been hiding. And now he is looking rapid. Very quick sector 4, my apologies. Sector 3, 4/10 up on Daniel Roberts, 2/10 up in sector 2. So he looks very good. He's just now allowing those tires to come to life. And this is the beginning of his race. He looks like he will very much so overcut the leaders if this continues as it is. And what a race this is turning out to be for the Jamaican. We'll watch how the sectors go. 22.4 for Taj Edwards. Where will it be for Daniel Roberts? We'll get an indication soon. But Taj does improve on his sector 1 and is still quicker than Mr. Roberts there, Daniel Roberts. And Mr. Danko. So right now, Taj unleashing those tires, unleashing his pace that he's been hiding for so long. This is going to be absolutely epic for him as Taj Edwards now enters into the pit lane. So now we'll watch a race. He was down by about 1.3 seconds when Daniel Roberts entered into the pits. Taj Edwards now heads into his pit lane. In his pit box, my apologies. Daniel Roberts now being chased by Mr. Danko behind him. But right now, it's looking brilliant for Taj Edwards. As Daniel Roberts now comes around the final corner. And there goes Taj Edwards. It's going to be a drag race now, but it looks very promising as Taj Edwards overcuts the race leaders to take the lead, but it will be nip and tuck. As you see there, Daniel trying to get as much of the slipstream, but there he goes and goes for a dive down the inside. And there he goes. Daniel Roberts takes back the lead by force. And now Taj Edwards will be chasing. That was a move by the Canadian. That, ladies and gentlemen, is racing that we've gotten accustomed to. We missed Taj last week. Now he has to find back the pace to try and pass back the Canadian in front of him. That will lend very well to Gergo right behind to watch and see if he can catch back up as well. But Taj Edwards has had the time. Now we've seen his pace out loud. Where will he go in the next few moments? 8/10 the gap between Taj and Daniel. And 1.5 seconds is the gap between Daniel, Gergo and Taj. What a move there by Daniel Roberts, and that could be the definitive moment of the race. Only time will tell. What a move! And that was the overtake of the day, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. Brilliant strategy for Taj. Looked rapid, looked like he had it on the go, but no, it was not enough. Now we'll have to defend from the driver behind him, as well as try and see if he can make up a position on the Canadian in front of him. The Canadian does have Jamaican descent as well. So what a battle this has become. Gergo Danko now looking in the gearbox of that BMW M3 GT3. Ooh, and that's that. Daniel Roberts went very wide. Coming out to turn 2-3 at the hairpin. Gergo now sits in the slipstream of the Jamaican in front of him. Taj there now sitting in the sandwich of two Ferraris. You can see one in front of him, one behind him. One just sniffing the sense from that gearbox. And does take a look on the inside is Gergo. And this fighting will help out Daniel Roberts again. He knew he needed to make that move as quickly as possible because Gergo was closing in. Took the opportunity and ran with it. And this trio will bring it down to the end of this race. We're closing on the 75% margin. Dan Rob there just breaking the toe as they head down into turn 1, 2, and 3. Heavy braking here. Try to carry as much speed through. Boy, oh boy, if we had Jaden Harrison as well in this battle, as well as Declan Daniel and Peter Arundel, what a battle this would have been. And it's already such a dramatic twist. This has been a brilliant battle here, if I do say so myself. This was very fun to watch. Ati here, seeing him very close to the back of the Cayman driver. Did get in front of him, but then had that spin coming off of the curb. Lost 2 positions himself to Mornay Deploy and Julian, the 2 Cayman drivers. Declan there in the chat. Brother, we missed you. What a battle this has been. If it was all of you in one, that would have been such a dramatic battle. Where we've seen pit strategies, on-track strategies, all in between, just all fighting it out for glory. And now the pressure going on to Daniel Roberts. And taking a look inside is Mr. Taj Edwards to try and take back the lead. Yes, it looks like it's a move done, but still that outside will become the inside. Will he be able to switch back? No, he won't. Good defense there by the Canadian. In Dan Robb. Taj will have to pick another battle. Ben Sunday, another driver, typically on track. Sorry to miss you again, brother, but you're seeing the action. The battle will return at Laguna next week, ladies and gentlemen. Still doing rain dance to see if we can get some form of weather changes. But only time will tell. Maybe at Spa as we head over to Belgium. But next week is the Americas. And Ati has made the move finally on Julian. We'll take a look at that in a second. But we continue to just watch this battle right now as Taj is not giving up. And neither is Gergo right behind him. And there you see it though, Daniel again going wide, and that gives a prime opportunity now for the Jamaican as Ted Edwards gets the inside line, parks it now on that apex. Good move, goes back on the inside to lock it out. Gergo now looking for his opportunity, but again Dan Rob just sneaks it through on the inside, no touching but so close. And takes back P1 again, and that opens the door for Gergo to move up as well. Flashing is Taj Edwards. Maybe didn't like it too much, that move. And now loses 2 positions. Saw an opportunity for P1. Gergo saw that opportunity to move up ahead of the Jamaican. And Dan Rob, aggressive here with his moves, holds on to P1. We are now at the 75% mark. And Dan Rob holds out. Sits in the slipstream is the Ferrari. Taj Edwards. Will we see a little bit of red miss here? Saw him flashing. Was not happy with that move at all. And Gergo again looking to see, will he try and switch back? No, he cannot. And we haven't been to the desperation zone just yet, but we are drawing narrow. 4 to 6 minutes has elapsed, and the trio is not giving an inch to one another at all. And Taj Edwards has picked up the pace now. And that's right, Declan. That first 50% of the race, Taj was just sitting in the slipstream. His tires were better, much less used. Once Dan Rob went into the pits, he could unleash that pace, and he saw it. He was going at it. He was matching times. He was, I think, a 10th down in the from the fastest lap of the race. Setting purple sector 3, purple sector 1s. But then Dan Rob into turn 1, coming out to the pits, just center move, got that P1. It looked like the undercut was done, or the overcut was done for Taj, but no. Dan Robb just took it at the last moment. But that being said, will Taj still have the beneficial strategy here as we wind down this race? Will the two in front of him have to do some form of Lyco? Again, not the desperation time yet. But we are winding down to the final 10 minutes of this race. And Gergo losing out to P1 in the beginning of this race to the driver in front of him. Was patient, did make the move twice. But Dan Robb forced an issue and got to hold on for P1. He wants that win this evening, ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon. And he is fighting for it. Ooh. Oh wow, okay. Mini heart attack there, but we are back in action. Taj Edwards there looking like the Iceman, not needing a slipstream at all. And he seemed there 600th quicker in sector 1, 400th quicker in sector 2. So is this his moment now? Is this where he says it's time to flip the script and go full push? 900th down in sector 3. But still, that's while he's on the gearbox of that Ferrari. Is it his moment to send it out himself? Tries to carry as much speed as it comes through the final corner. And again, the Iceman himself doesn't need a slipstream. Holds that steering wheel straight. We continue on. 10 minutes remaining in this race. Put your bets in the chat. This is looking very good. And there, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Robb does go wide again, right by turn 3. Gergo saw an opportunity, but still not enough, but will he get the run? Dan Robb immediately goes defensive, parks it on the apex. Gergo has to back out of it, but no, takes a look again on the inside, but cannot force the issue. That Ferrari looking very unsettled there on the curb. Takes a look now, Taj as well, seeing if he can get a moment to shine. Dan Robb has to go defensive. Has he used up too much of his tires there? Because right now, Gergo is right there on the gearbox, and this now, ladies and gentlemen, is the beginning of the desperation zone. It's now to send a move, and the trio are pushing through as they pass the pit entry and continue on this battle. From the beginning of this race has been holding out, took the position. He won from the start by force, lost it a few times and took it right back by force. Has been having a valiant effort here this afternoon. And now getting the 3-minute warning there from race control. And Gergodanko pushing, looks on the inside. Will he get a run now? He wants to stay as close to the gearbox as possible. Gergodanko not happy. Started on pole position, lost out. The two were separated by a mere 600th of a second. Dan Robb took it by force at the beginning of the race. Breaks the slipstream early. So there was no need to defend. Once at ideal line, Tash Edwards just waiting, hoping for some drama between the two. But there goes Dan Gergo. And he gets the inside line, and that is a move done by the Italian driver. Tash Edwards now looking in the background to see if he can get a moment to shine. But He left it until the last moment, and now it's going to be a fight until the end because we have 2 minutes left. Dan Robb sits in the slipstream. He's not happy. Goes wide, tries to switch back. Taj Edwards now seeing if he can gain back a position. Now the slipstream is on, and even Taj sitting there. We are getting white flag racing now, ladies and gentlemen. So this will be the final lap of the race. And the two are going into turn one side by side. Danko took the inside line, and that looks like a move done by the Italian driver. But no, the fight is still on, and guess what? Taj Edwards now looking on the inside to see if he can get a position from these two. And the fight is on between them. Daniel Roberts again looks on the inside, trying to go later on the brakes. Fight is on as he takes the inside line. There's contact, and Taj Edwards now moves up to try and take back P2. And this battle will continue on until the final start-finish line. Taj Edwards loses out again. There was a little bit of contact there, rubbing his racing hair at the SRR. And Taj now concedes back into P3, but not for long. He goes late on the brakes. Took a look on the inside, but not close enough. Is a Jamaican. And Danko, no, I'm sure is fuming and trying his best. He got the move done. But right now, Dan Robb has been doing his job to hold out the two behind him all race. I can't imagine how the interviews are going to go in a moment's time. But the race isn't over until the fat lady sings. We come around the final two corners now, but it doesn't look like anything is gonna happen here. No final dramatics. No, Taj Edwards there dives down. The two do make contact, and now it's gonna be a drag race until the end. Who will finish first? But right now, Dan Robbs takes the lead, and it's a photo finish between Taj Edwards and Danko. What a brilliant finish here. Dan Robb takes a victory after a dramatic finish. Danko as well, I'm sure will be fuming. But what a battle this has been. Guillermo Silva as well finishes off in P4, now crosses the line. Why is the camera acting like this? No. Right, then we have Mornay Deploy and Ateneja right there coming around to finish up. And what a battle this has been. Mornay Deploy finishes off in P5 if it continues as it is. Ati there pushing. And it looks as if Mornay is running out of fuel actually, so don't be surprised if you see him lose out right now to the likes of Ati. I know he does finish off in P5, Ati in P6, and Julian Narcisses in P7. What a finish that was. Woo. By 200th of a second, Taj Edwards loses out to Danko. What a battle that was. We'll just take a quick look at that finish between the three. Let's look at it from Daniel Roberts. He passes the line. Let's just look behind him. Give me a second, folks, as we try and get this thing working perfectly. So he could see in his rear view what was happening, but whoa! What a battle that was, up until the end from start to finish. He saw that dive. Let's take a look at Gergo and Taj. As these two, they saw it again. We spoke about the desperation zone. There was Taj with the dive bomb. The two did make contact, and then it was a drag race there. Taj was catching up, but not close enough as they crossed the line. What a victory there. What a fight that was. What a battle this evening, this afternoon. Oh my word, I need a bottle of water. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment's time with the interviews from this race. Please stay tuned for the interviews as we prepare.
What is this now? Like, what's like? Oh, okay. 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 Mhm. Mhm. Oh, so like nothing's recorded in here then, alright? Oh. Oh. Okay. All right. uh,
Yeah, I'm here.
Taj, why were you flashing me? I didn't really see anything wrong with my moves, to be honest. I thought I left space and, like, you know, I went on inside, but like, I don't think I like, force you off.
From the first move, you kind of just drove into me, pushing me off. Then turn one.
Like when you came over to the pits,
Yeah.
as in drove into the crazy stretch. Okay.
I left enough space there because I'm not even going to defend it. We just went like, took the corner as regular and just pushed me out in the AstroTurf.
Oh, you mean on like the middle parts of the turn? I thought you were talking about like the entry to. As in like, I guess I could have left you a tiny bit more room, but it's like, I don't know. Like I was already like the line was so compromised that like I already tried to leave you room, but I've never like taken that compromised line before, so I'm not really sure how much I have to slow down to not do that. But I tried slowing down enough so that I didn't have to push you as far wide, but
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we will begin the interviews now, as we have two of the race leaders in the pit, or in the cooldown room. We have Mr. Taj Edwards as well as Mr. Daniel Roberts in the second race here. It was a very interesting battle here this evening, or this afternoon. We'll start with Taj. Taj, first of all, I mean, at the beginning of the race, he started in P3, and it seemed as if you're just using the moment to strategize, do a little bit of fuel saving, and even save your tires. Let the two in front of you fight it out. Could you give us a little bit of advice on how that first stint went before your pit stops?
Yeah, the first stint was just staying out of trouble, and I just stayed just close enough to within the draft of the other guys. So just save fuel and tires. Tried not to, get caught up in anything early, because right at the start I saw, I think it was Kurt and Guillaume crashed like right next to me. So I was like, I'll just chill until the pit stop. Went for the overcut. Yeah, that was the strategy.
And then, I mean, coming out of well, once Dan went into the pits, it's like you just unleashed your pace. You went 2 laps extra. So we're guessing you had more than enough fuel even at the end. But coming out of the pits, I thought you had the move done. Could you walk us through seeing that dive by Dan into turn one coming out of the pits?
Yeah, on the when I saw Danko, or yeah, Gergo, he pitted, so I upped the pace a little bit, and then Daniel pitted, so I tried to maximize the in-laps. Decent in-lap, decent pit. Probably took a little bit too much fuel, but it is what it is. Got out on the pits. Yeah, I took left side tires, so Dan would have passed me on the outlet regardless. So I just once he got by, I just stayed, try to stay within draft and stuff until the opportunities presented itself again.
And then that battle with Gergo, I mean, it happened all throughout the race. The most notable one was that final drag race on the final lap. Any thoughts on that battle there between yourself and the Ferrari?
Yeah, I wasn't going to fight Dan that much yet. Even the pass that I went for, I wasn't going to go for it, but I'm not sure his entry into that hairpin, the right hairpin, I don't know, maybe carried too much speed, so I just went for it. It allowed Gergo over time to catch back up, which I didn't want. I went for another move and I got messed up with the line a bit, so Gergo got by me. I didn't want to attack him. I felt I had the pace to pass him, but I didn't want to attack him too much because I didn't want Daniel to get away. So I just kind of waited until like 2 laps to go or so, and then yeah, they were battling ahead, but I just couldn't, get a clean gap to really send it, because to pass it, you pretty much have to send it. And then, yeah, in the last lap, I got a little aggressive. I felt I was a little bit too passive all throughout the race, so I sent it on the last corner. Probably best that he picked me up the line still, because I kind of Verstappened him and forced him out a little bit, tried to be a little bit aggressive. So, yeah, kudos to him.
I mean, nonetheless, bro, that was an epic battle all throughout the race. You even had a move with Dan there where he went wide and you took the move. You saw an opportunity. But again, Dan just forced his way through, and you guys were discussing it in the cool down portion. Not sure if it's the best time to ask, but what were your thoughts on that battle between you two? I saw you flash a little bit there.
No, it was all good. It's just, in the heat of the battle, in the heat of the moment, sometimes you get a little aggressive, I guess. So, yeah, it's nothing, all good. Nothing out of the way. It's just when I got by him again and he had the inside to that really tight left hairpin, I just didn't really want to go 2x2 there, really, because Gergo was catching up all the time. So, yeah, in the end, got called out by Gergo. But, yeah, good battle overall. Nothing out of the way, just sometimes when you battle, you get a little bit of adrenaline rush and
Yeah, absolutely. You did lose 2 positions because of it, but nonetheless, it was fun. It was, I mean, I think I lost my voice slightly from the battles here this evening, or this afternoon, sorry, but huge congratulations to you nonetheless. We're happy to have you back. Dan, now that you're back with us now, you started last week at Sebring, had that incident coming out to Sunset Bend. What were your thoughts coming into this round?
Well, I didn't do much practice, so I was just, I don't know, I didn't really have much thoughts, to be honest. Like, I was just trying to, maximize my results, I guess.
Okay, and then you came in, started qualifying session, you saw Gergo on pole position, and I am going to say that lap 1, first turn 1, was absolutely brilliant. You started, 600th down from the qualifying, so it was clear that all 3 of you were right there on pace. How did that move come into your mind to just send it on turn 1 and just make the move stick, and then just force him into having to chase you for the rest of the race?
Well, I kind of knew that he definitely had more pace than me, just judging by his practice and qualifying laps. I was just struggling for pace. I don't have much experience on the track, and especially consistency I always struggle with, as you could tell by like a lot of the unforced errors I did throughout the race. So I kind of just like I got a good jump on the start, so I just knew I had to kind of like make it work there. And like he was pretty respectful, and like he raced clean the entire race. Probably left a little bit too much room a lot of the time. So from that first turn, like he left me enough room, and I was able to do the move.
And then after that first move, there was another portion where he took back the position. I think about 4 corners after or 3 corners after. But then you and him got into a little bit of a tussle. Any thoughts on that battle as well? Again, you did say it was clean. But did you just say that you wanted to keep the lead, or was it a case where you just saw an opportunity and you just took it?
Yeah, so I wasn't necessarily thinking like, oh, I need to keep the lead. The only, well, like I guess theoretically that's what I was thinking, but the main idea was that I kind of figured if he was ahead of me for a good portion of time, he'd start pulling away because of his pace advantage, and also like he didn't really look like he was making that many unforced errors compared to me. So I kind of just knew like, you know, if as soon as he would get by me, I just kind of like have to make the like, you know, make the move stick and like get by the position immediately. And like I guess a couple of them could have been considered lunges, but they weren't really. You know, I thought they were pretty controlled. Every time I overtook, I don't think I ever like just forcibly pushed anyone off wide. So
Well, my next question now was that chase, that pass for P1, with Taj Edwards coming out of the pits. I'm gonna pull it up on the stream right now, because to me, I thought he had the move done, and you just came out of nowhere, sent the move, and you got. I mean, you just took that position by force. There was a little bit of contact, but still, you know, racing is racing sometimes. What were your thoughts going in? Did you think you were going to get that, you'd catch him, first of all, and two, you think you'd have actually gotten to make the move if he did come out? Because I mean, it was you guys basically came out right there as he exited the pits. I'm so sorry, I forgot to press the push to talk button.
okay.
The next question though was that pass on Taj coming out of the pits. What were your thoughts on that move? And you know, you saw the overcut. I'm guessing you saw his pace. I'm not sure if you actually had the overlays for it, because you probably wouldn't. But he was just going quicker than everybody. He was looking like he was gonna get the overcut done. You guys met at turn 1 in the first corner. What were your thoughts on that move? Did you think you'd have gotten it stuck?
Well, yeah, I don't use overlays, but like I basically knew. So after, sorry, I can't remember. The other guy pitted, and then I was going. I just saw Taj like closing the gap a lot, and I wasn't doing like the best laps, but I didn't really expect, like, you know, I didn't think the laps I was doing was like, you know, 4/10 down of like what I should be doing. So like him closing the gap from, I think it was like 1.7 to like 1.2 in like 1 lap. I was like, where did this pace come from? And then so basically after that, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go pit, because if I keep going 1 or 2 more laps, then he's gonna get my draft, and then like kind of like just accelerate his you know, catching me up in terms of like overall race time. And yeah, that was my first time entering like the pits on that track in like a year, so like I was kind of overly cautious, I guess. But yeah, but normally like I'm very good with stops. I was kind of like surprised to see him like come out ahead of me. And yeah, I just felt like, again, I kind of felt like I was struggling for pace. Like I knew it wasn't my track or anything, so I kind of like every opportunity I wasn't like comfortable just sitting behind and like staying in the slipstream, because I wasn't sure when my next mistake would be, and then, you know, falling out of it and then recovering just would not be something I saw myself doing in that race. So just try to maintain the lead.
Well, nonetheless, man, that was a battle to watch, especially the final lap between Gerga and Taj. But yeah, as we head into next week, we'll start with Taj. Any thoughts as we head into Laguna Seca for round 5?
Hopefully the schedule would allow me to make the race. I mean, Laguna is Laguna. It's an okay track. It's yeah, the corkscrew, I don't particularly like it, but I mean, it's an okay track. Hopefully I can make the race, and then hopefully it'll be a big grid and we'll have some good battles.
Absolutely. We should have Jaden Harrison back as well as we had Declan Daniel and Ben Sunday in the chat for quite a portion of the race. So we're hoping to get back the Trinidadians. They did say that they wouldn't be able to make it this week, unfortunately. So we're excited to have them back for the next 2 rounds. But Dan, your thoughts heading into Laguna Seca?
Like I'm definitely way more experienced with Laguna, so I'll be able to probably be like have a like I'll probably like have a couple tenths or a tenth like pace advantage, but I also hope that the conditions are cool and the track temperature is below like 35 degrees, so I can actually like push the car more. That would be what I would love to see, but you know, those are all my thoughts really.
I mean, if I am being honest, I've been praying for some rain since round 1. Been trying to push more to just throw it in, but he's not been biting the bullet at all.
Well, yeah, I love rain, so if you could, like, next race might be one of my like last races because I'm going back to Jamaica. So if you could convince him for rain for that race, that would actually spice it up a lot.
Well, you heard that from the driver himself. I would look forward to that, but I guess he'll do a vote in the Discord for the Sim Racers room, and then we'll take it from there. But that being said, man, again, huge congratulations to you guys. Thank you for joining, because without you, this battle would have been, you know, it was necessary. But we are just so glad that we could have seen this battle between you three. Any final thoughts as we close out? And we'll start with you, Taj.
As always, thanks to you, Stephen, for the broadcast, the JSRA, Moran for putting on the league. Anybody who was watching, hope you enjoyed the race. And then from my end, my team, Orion Race Team, sponsors Joel Real Timing and Huffy Bike. So hopefully I'll meet the next round. And thanks for the broadcast.
And thank you too. Without you guys, again, we wouldn't have a broadcast to have. So huge shout out to you guys, and always glad to have you. Dan, any thoughts?
Oh yeah, well, you know, thanks to everyone involved in putting on this race, and thank you for the 2 drivers that raced cleanly and respectfully. That made it not just be, you know, like a wreck after the first battle, you know, kept it going the entire race, so.
Alright, well, again, thank you guys first of all for joining, and looking forward to the future that we have with you guys, especially. Honestly, I've been loving iRacing for the past few weeks now and months. So I think we are going to try and push more events through this platform, and we look forward to seeing you guys more and more in action as we continue on this on iRacing. So again, huge shout out to you guys and your teams, and I will look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
If you can make
All
it.
right, thanks. And congrats to Dan as well on the win.
Thanks.
And congrats to you guys as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this does bring the stream to a conclusion, and we will be again thanking you for joining us here at the Sim Racers room. It's been absolutely epic all evening, all season. This is round 4, and every week we just have some ridiculous events, ridiculous battles, and it's been just so fun to watch. So I've been your host, Stephen Stewart from the Jamaica Simulation Racing Association. I hope that you enjoyed this broadcast. We look forward to seeing you next week at the round 5 for the Laguna Seca battle on the way. And we do have our Le Mans Ultimate Series finale next Friday as well. If you get the chance, you can join us as we head to the Portimao. It is a multi-class battle. It's been absolutely epic to watch, to say the least. And trust me, with the battles that you've seen here tonight, it's the same quality of racing that you've had at the in the Le Mans Ultimate Series. The battles between LMP2 and GT3 have been going on and on. So we look forward to seeing you over at the Jamaica Simulation Racing Association broadcast as well. I've been your host, and I'm looking forward to another round next week as we head out to Laguna Seca. I bid you a very good afternoon and evening, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you for joining us. Have an awesome evening, awesome day, awesome night. God bless you, and I bid you a farewell until we see you again.